Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
Everybody, what does success mean to you? If I said, hey, here's how to be successful, this is what I've learned, what would you think of? You'd think of driving a nice car, nice house, and you'd be right. All right, end of the podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. Recently, Kim Kardashian was quoted as saying now she's not materialistic. Ever since she was robbed and that happened, and according to everybody, like, wait a minute, that's success. She's making what, $40 million a year, and she has everything, all the fame and fortune. And then you listen to these guys like back in the day, it was Eminem. They want to be the best rapper, and that's gonna define success for them. And I think some of us were sitting in the background thinking, that's not success to me. Success to me is just being happy. And success and happiness are, they could be two different things, or they could be the same. The Bible, when it talks about, these people will be blessed, it's not always a financial blessing. Some people are just blessed with spirituality. And, if you interviewed them all at the end of their life, the people that were blessed spiritually would be as high, if there was such a thing as a happy meter, as the people that were rich. And I think it's harder to be rich and happy. So success is, to me, you don't want to get too into cliches like it's appreciating what you have, and but in a way it is, because otherwise you're constantly, I think God creates us with a big void, and we're going to constantly try to fill it with things. And if we're not filling it with the correct thing, we're going to spend the rest of our lives trying to fill that void. And you'll hear me talk about joy and happiness a lot. And if I was to go down to a car dealer right now, I would experience joy. I mean, just the smell of a new car, sitting in a new car, getting in the car, hearing the V8 do its thing, that adds joy. But it's not going to add to my happiness so much as this. Let's say somebody was to work for a car, and finally they get the car, and just the fact that you're achieving something is going to probably bring you just as much happiness. And maybe that's not the best example, but I'll put it a different way. Is if I was a millionaire and I bought a lot of different houses, and I see nice houses every day. I get to go in them and talk to the people. I rarely see people just elated over a home just because it's on the beach. I know a couple that they have I think the house was $20 million. It was in Laguna. I don't even know how much a lot is. It's right on the water. So the lot itself is probably another $15 million, and that's their beach house. They have a couple other homes. I've never once spoken to them and got the feeling that they were as happy as the person that I talked to on Saturday morning in the waiting room when I'm getting my car smogged. There's a lot of concern and everything else, and you have to have your assistant, and then your assistant has an assistant, and it's something else you own and take, versus the couple that saved their whole life and bought like a small cabin in the mountains. And even then, maybe it's not happy, but just the fact that they're working towards it, the gratification when they buy the house. I don't think one is going to be too much happier than the other. And then you take it a step further and you say, okay, well, I got 4 kids. 3 of the kids love me. I'm not going to tell you which one don't. No, I love my family, but obviously with different ages come different struggles. But just to me, happiness is just having the day off after working, going and spending time with the kids. There are times when I was at full staff, when I would have not a big company, but maybe 4 or 5 guys working for me, and I would be stressing out, even though I was with the kids at, let's say, Knott's Berry Farm. I'm stressed out because there may be a potential problem at work. So I wasn't exactly enjoying myself at the time. For me to be happy, things have to be worked out. I don't want problems. So, you don't want to throw away your life trying to reach success, and when you're there, you find out maybe that wasn't success as I know it, or as it should be defined. But you do have to get to the point where you do appreciate things. If I'm sitting, let's say we're at a function and there's a group of guys sitting there, and somebody pulls up in a hot rod and supercharger and everything, and you can appreciate what they have. And yeah, there's going to be that little bit of jealousy that we all get, and like, oh man. But as you get older, the last thing you want to do is go out, open up the Auto Trader, and buy a car with the supercharger because you want to pull up in a nice car too one day. The wiser you are, I should say, you'll appreciate, hey, this guy did a lot of work, a lot of stresses. He probably spent a lot of time on the phone with AAA getting tow trucks, but now he has this 15 minutes. And, I think you learn to appreciate that and say, you know what, this is your 15 minutes and I'll get mine later on, whatever it is. Let's say a guy is a really good golfer. Later on, he'll get his 15 minutes when the guy with the hot rod, swings a stick and his club goes farther than the ball. I think it's if you have to learn to appreciate, hey, this guy, it's just like going into the gym. You're not going to bench 300 pounds, so don't get jealous from the guy that does, because he did the time. He went in there. But while he was doing that, I hope you were doing something else to add to your happiness, so later on you could kind of fill that void of wanting to do things and wanting to achieve things. And I think part of being happy and successful is not trying to always have your 15 minutes, so to speak. It's just enjoying other people's success, and the more you do it, I think the easier it gets. And I call it being eternally focused instead of looking laterally at things. But it does get easier, and I remember my sister, she got a new Audi. I was like, oh gosh, I was looking for a car, and at the time I couldn't get the rate I wanted, and so I didn't do it. I've been working on my credit for the past few years, and the pitfalls of it were showing up, and I was like, gosh, I'm trying to get a new car, and here she goes, gets the new car and whatever. But it's just, I started thinking about it, and I'm doing other things that I'm like, you know what, she had a good thing that happened to her, and here I'm thinking, oh well, I wanted my Escalade, I didn't get my Escalade, I was supposed to have gotten it that weekend and I didn't, and it's like, you know what, enjoy her happiness, and then one day my day will come, and if it doesn't, so be it, because if that's what I have to do to be happy, my gosh, think about it, I'm always going to go around trying to get things, chasing that thing, chasing this thing, chasing that, and then now not only, okay, yeah, you had a little bit of fun, pulling up in the new vehicle or doing whatever, but now I'm constantly paying the reaper for chasing things and not saving, not doing the things that I should be that are going to add happiness, like having money for breakfast when it rains, just going out early in the morning after I drop the kids off from school. Those kind of things, I think ultimately will add to the happiness and success. And part of success too is, let's face it, we do live in the real world, and we do need to, say, okay, these are the laws of the world, and we have to live in them. We can't just live in a tent and just eat grasshoppers. So you do need to have a car, have a house, and you do need to have a growing. If you don't have a business that's growing, you at least need to be in a job to where you're doing well, and the potential for growth, in my opinion, just to be happy at your job. So some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is stuff that I do and I've done to help my company grow at one point, and then ultimately I decided to turn down the knob after all that growth. The stress was getting so much where I just turned it way back, and I got involved with another company eventually that was easier to delegate work, just to lower my stress. But that's a whole different story. I don't know if we'll get into that or not. But one thing when I started the company, it was, you do everything, you do anything, and you do it all the time. I mean, they're just every second of the day, you're doing something to add to the company's bottom line, but the company's reputation. That's all you do. You don't say no to anybody. And what's nice is, as the company grows, you can afford to turn away that company or turn away that company. And it's a weird time we're in, that you got a lot of people, a lot of younger people, that I don't know how they're going to be successful in business because of the attitude that's out there. There's a lot of people that are envious of what you have, but they didn't realize it took you 20 years to get it, and all the blood, sweat, and tears at the beginning, and you weren't getting paid. A lot of knocking on doors, a lot of going and doing estimates, that panned out to nothing. And sometimes ahead of time, that you still got to do it anyway, just in case. So you're gonna have to pay your dues. And I always said, it took me 10 years to. By the way, it's a cleaning company. It took me 10 years to make it a real solid company, where you could have it's year-round employees, and But I tell people, hey, if I had to do it all over again, I would have taken those 10 years and went to med school. If I would have had a better brain, maybe maybe that would have panned out really well. But in any event, so I started, and just the company itself is worth talking about for an hour. Just the pitfalls of any company is a roller coaster ride. I mean, you're talking about, you have family members involved, and friends and family, and then enemies, and it's like a really good novel. I think forget all these reality shows that are out right now. Just follow a company that's starting and ultimately winds up being successful, and you will have a real war and peace on your hands. And that's about how long it takes too to get it going. And so anyway, the nice thing about a company is you do get freedom. If you're doing the 9 to 5, that is for some people too, because you get freedom on another level, where if let's say it's Friday, and you clock out at 3 or 3:30, and you're gone. You're on vacation. And if somebody owns a business, they don't get that luxury. You don't clock out. In other words, you're one phone call away from, okay, that job I just finished, oh, there's a complaint, you got to go back. I'm like, oh, and then, or they want to talk to somebody right now, or there's an estimate you're supposed to give and you forgot, and it goes on and on. One of your employees wrecked your truck. That is always there in the background. Sometimes I would leave, if we're doing a big job, I would leave and go to Home Depot and pick up equipment. And on the way back, I would see a fire truck heading towards where we were working. And if we were on lifts or something like that, I'd just say, oh my God, and you start thinking, did one of my guys have an accident? Did he put somebody between a tire and a wall? And, those are things that go through your mind as an owner, because not only do you know your employees,